This is FLOSS Weekly. I'm Doc Searls. This week, Jonathan Bennett and I talk with Alex Belokrylov of Bellsoft. But they have this stream that starts with their Liberica JDK and moves through Alpaquita Linux. That's their Linux distribution for Java on clouds, which does a lot on clouds you may not know. Very, very flexible, very interesting, and that is coming up next.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is FLOSS Weekly episode 715, recorded Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. Lower cloud costs for Java. This episode of FLOSS Weekly is brought to you by Collide. That's Collide with a K. Collide is an endpoint security solution that gives IT teams a single dashboard for all devices, regardless of their operating system. Visit collide.com/floss to learn more and activate a free 14-day trial today. No credit card required. Hello again, everyone, everywhere. I am Doc Searls. This is FLOSS Weekly, and welcome back. I have Jonathan Bennett on the show this week.
Hey,
There
Doc.
he is.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Oh, yes. But I heard our director jumping in, but you sound too much like him, I think. Which might be a thing.
That's not necessarily a good thing.
How are I mean, I'm more used to hearing about weather problems where you live because there are tornadoes and big storms and sometimes earthquakes.
And our weather here has been boring for like a month and a half.
Ours has been rock and roll, more rock because and rocks that rolled. We had like 20 some inches of rain, which is more than we get in like a whole winter. California has two seasons, fire and rain.
Yeah.
9 months a year it's fire, 2 months it's rain, and we had monster rains. Lots of roads are out still. People are isolated in the mountains and stuff, and the internet was in and out. So we, I had to deal with robots at the ISP, and then there were trucks on the street yesterday, but we're good now.
You mean you don't have a Starlink system yet that you could just pop out in your backyard?
No. Well, the problem is as you and probably listeners and viewers know, I live in at least 3 places, and so having generator backup or something like that is not too complicated. So we just usually go somewhere.
It's hard to fit a generator in your suitcase.
It's true. What have you got there, and why? Someday I'll tell you this story about trying to transport an electric bike across the country and being told I had to take out the lithium battery and carry it on my person. that was the least of it, actually. Yeah. So to hurry along, are you familiar with our guest or our Bellsoft company?
I've learned a little bit about it over the last couple of days doing prep for the show. I am familiar with the idea of course, Java. I think everyone in our profession has touched Java to some extent or another. Some people have embraced it, and some people have tried to keep it at arm's length as much as possible, but we've all had to do something with it, I believe. I have covered the idea of Java on the server running web apps from a security perspective from time to time, and all of the things that implies. So I am adjacent to being familiar with what he does.
Well, you're my adjacency tool. I always have to disclaim I've never been a programmer. I've always been a journalist. I've covered this stuff. It's kind of like the ball player who doesn't do the sport but has covered it all his life. So anyway, so I want to jump into it. Our guest is Alex Belokrylov. I hope I have that right. He's the CEO and founder of Bellsoft, the company behind Liberica, and I may have mispronounced that, JDK. His Java journey started at Sun Microsystems, as so many others did, and was followed by his Oracle experience. I want to hear the difference between employment and experience. That'd be interesting. And which helped to establish Alexander as one of the most influential Java thinkers and a significant contributor to Java's evolution and adoption. So welcome to the show, Alex. There you are.
Thank you, Doc, for the introduction. Yeah, the name of the distribution, what we delivers to the community and our happy customers is Liberica JDK.
Liberica.
Yes, we work creating that, we want to use some connotation to free and liberty. So it's and to coffee too. And
I know it's complicated because in guessing at pronunciation, in English we tend to emphasize the first syllable. In French, they tend to emphasize the last syllable. In different Latin languages, it's the middle syllable. It's so where are you located, Alex?
Like we're headquartered in San Jose, but the developers all around the world. As in any open source companies, I'm currently traveling. I'm in Kazakhstan with some part of our team here.
You're in Kazakhstan right now.
Yeah.
Oh wow! It is late. It is late where you are. Sorry about that.
It is.
Either that or very early.
Okay. I got used to it. Anyway, I need to connect with my team in California.
It's always interesting to me that people in Europe are very careful, like it's their evening there. But for people who are in India, Kazakhstan, places that are basically 12 or near 12 off, because India is a half hour off the rest of the world, they're fine being up in the middle of the night. I guess it's just an occupational necessity.
When we started
go ahead,
working with all around the world, and like Australia, the United States, Europe, Middle East, all has different time zones, and your working day is a mess now. It's endless, and it's never starts, never ends.
No escape. The phone rings at any time. So tell us about your own journey there. What got you from Sun, and I'm sure working with Java at Sun, where it really began, to Oracle, which ate Sun, to your own independent path at this point?
That is right. Yeah, I started my journey in IT industry back in the 90s. At that time, there was the beginning of the open source, I would say. So we had many proprietary Linux distributions, not Linux, Unix distributions. Mm-hmm. And today, I recently read the news about IBM AIX. So this is the only alive proprietary Unix distribution, as I know, and IBM decided to move their engineers' position to India now for AIX. So Solaris and under maintenance, and HPUX is under maintenance, and what will happen with IBM iX, we'll see. And it was very exciting time, and I joined Sun Microsystems. I was so pleased to work with the company behind Solaris, and Java was raising that time, and I joined as an engineer in Java organizations, and several, like 5 years later, Sun started a very exciting program. It's called Sun Campus Ambassadors. Sun was always about students and the community, as you remember. And I took the position of the lead of EMEA program lead. And this program was about hiring students within the university and train them on Sun technologies, on Solaris, Java, and NetBeans, and encourage them to share their knowledge among fellow students. So we hired a lot of them, and even in EMEA, we had more than 100 students at that time. And I had a very interesting story of hiring. Then I received lots of CVs, and I was hiring in Middle East. Don't remember the exact country, but I received a CV, saw that the CV is a very good fit for our program. And I asked the candidate for the phone interview, and I wasn't able to recognize that it's a girl's name, a female name there. and a girl was on the other side, and she was amazing. I said, yeah, and at that time there wasn't so many girls in IT industry, and I said, that's okay. I'm really happy with your experience and what you do. And I would like to bring you on board to the program. And she said, yeah, everything is good. I'm happy too. However, I need to warn you that I'm only able to do presentations to a women audience. So I'm not capable to speak for men. I said, that's okay. Finally she joined the program, but that was very interesting how culture is different, and that I even couldn't imagine that such thing could happen. This was a very good time. So many cultures, so many countries around, and very nice. So I had a lots of fun with that. And after that, I meet, and I'm still meeting these like my campus ambassadors at different companies, and even a couple months ago, maybe at the end of the last year in Amsterdam, I met one of them at customers meetings. That's amazing. So yeah, then Oracle acquired Sun, and Oracle was not so happy to spend money on students. They were counting money very well, and we decided to stop Sun Campus Ambassador program, and Sun paid students actually for that. And however, Oracle was very interested to become a steward of Java, to say to the community that everything okay, and we will be taking care of Java very carefully. And they started growing their Java evangelism team, and I moved to that group and worked at Java Evangelist, did like the presentations, wrote materials, organized the communities at different places, as I already had the connections there. And during that time, I had a very close connection with the product team, Java product team. Finally, we had an open position, and I joined product management team at Java organization as principal product manager. And I've been working there for 6 years. So my focus area was Java for embedded platforms for the last several years. And we actually created Java for ARM processors, like we ported it there. We ported Java for like PowerPC hardware. And Java became, at least like it started to become the technology for the embedded platforms. No, all people know that Blu-ray technology based on Java. So at the back of every Blu-ray player, there is a Java logo. So this is interesting fact. However, time was going, and Oracle was changing from product company to a service company. Like every big company want to be a player on cloud markets, and Oracle is not an exception here. And they decided not to continue this Java embedded play, and I moved to an IoT cloud service as a product manager. However, I was still in touch with the customers who use Java for embedded purpose, and they was really surprised, and Oracle announced that there will not be any other releases beyond JDK 8 for embedded platforms. So nobody was happy about that, and the community said like they're our Java for Raspberry Pis, the newer version for Raspberry Pi. And together with my colleagues, fellow colleagues, we decided to start Bellsoft in 2017. And our initial focus was Java for embedded, OpenJDK for embedded use. And we started to invest our time and effort and our knowledge into this direction, this area. And during the first year of the company existence, we worked on ARCH64, this ARM port for 64-bit processors, specifically servers. And during the first year of the company existence, we became one of top 5 OpenJDK contributors, top 5 project contributors among such big names as Oracle, Red Hat, SAP, and Google. Some unknown company from the last year became there, and I realized why IBM acquired Red Hat that time to catch up, to pass Bellsoft on this chart. And we were making Java, and at that time we created our OpenJDK-based distribution, Liberica JDK, for ARM platforms, and we made the community happy to provide them the JDK 9 for Raspberry Pis. And Raspberry Pi was a pretty popular platform at that time, and I still have a pile of them at my apartment. Like kids were playing with them. And what's next? The next we brought a lot of performance optimizations for the ARM port for the OpenJDK. OpenJDK is evolving by the specific process, Java enhancement process. We brought one of these enhancements into the OpenJDK, and you probably remember that at that time in 2018, Oracle announced changes in Java release cadence, OpenJDK release cadence. And what's more important, Oracle made Java a commercial product. Oracle started to ask the subscription from organizations to allow them to use Java in production. And many organizations was not happy that for 20 years they received Java for free with all its updates, security, and functionality. And now at one day, it's became some commercial product with, in some cases, millions of dollars subscription fee per year. And this created a big market for Oracle and makes many Oracle customers unhappy. So at that time, a number of OpenJDK distributions appeared, and Bellsoft Liberica was just in time for that. So we quickly supported the widest range of platforms, added obviously Windows and Linux 64 and 32 bits into our portfolio, added Solaris and added PowerPC there because we already had the experience on those platforms. It was pretty easy for us. And we started to provide Liberica JDK for anybody, and we started to sell commercial support for that. And very quickly we were able to bring a couple very well-known customers from ISVs. One of them was Pivotal. Pivotal is the company backed Spring Framework. It was acquired by VMware in 2020, and now VMware became our customer. And another one is very well-known developer tools, is JetBrains, is the company which almost every Java developer know and has their tools on their laptop or desktop. And JetBrains actually is JetBrains products itself is Java applications which need runtime to function. And Bellsoft supports this runtime which inside JetBrains products. So, yeah, moving forward to the to the OpenJDK distribution, and we were seeing some requirements from our customers yet, and of course, like VMware and JetBrains is not the only users. Bellsoft, as we see, we already used by almost like 3% of Java around the world by several reports.
I find it interesting that I've already used Bellsoft software and I didn't know it because I use some JetBrains stuff for doing Android development. And so, the actual Android Studio is just a repackage of JetBrains. So, hey, I'm a customer too, I suppose, sort of. And then you talked about your handful of Raspberry Pis. Well, I too have a handful of Raspberry Pis back on my desk. I think I have about 10 of them here, not counting the ones actually in use. So we are we are brothers in this. I wanted to jump in and ask. You've done a great job with the history, but I'd love to get some more details about a few things. And the first one I want to start with is, what exactly is the difference between OpenJDK and Liberica JDK? Because I know when I go to install Java on, say, my Linux distro, so let's just say Fedora, it grabs OpenJDK, and I'm curious with Oracle kind of having dropped some support for that, are we actually pulling you guys' code and just using the same name? What's kind of the story between those two?
Every OpenJDK distribution provider brings something special into that, and of course, Liberica JDK has the differentiators. In general, for LTS versions, for JDK 8, JDK 11, JDK 17, we provide the vanilla OpenJDK. So everything we do, we contribute into the OpenJDK and then build Liberica JDK based on the OpenJDK source code. And however, we provide 3 flavors of our distributions. So we provide full, standard, and light versions of Liberica JDK. Full version includes some additional libraries, some additional functionalities like minimal VM, JavaFX, some additional APIs. So almost everything what we considered as the production ready for our users. Standard one is the vanilla OpenJDK, what almost any other distribution provider provides. And light version is the version of OpenJDK specifically optimized for containerized use. So it's optimized inside and has number of relevant backports, which allows that to save the resources. That's actually the part of our offering for the containers. And besides that, this is about LTS versions. Besides that, we also provide support for the legacy versions of Java, JDK 6 and JDK 7. You would be surprised that enterprises, they are looking forward to move to clouds, to Kubernetes, and to run microservices applications. And at the same time, they said, we have many applications which requires JDK 6, and we are not going to migrate them. So can you guys provide us safe and secured version of JDK 6 together with your awesome and amazing effective solution for the cloud? That's their reality. So I would say that Liberica JDK and Bellsoft provides the only distribution, OpenJDK-based distribution, which covers everything. So I would say we cover legacy parts, JDK 6, JDK 7 support. We provide LTS versions supported, and also, in addition, we provide the distribution of Graal VM called Liberica Native Image Kit. I will elaborate on that at the part of our offering for the native compilation.
Well, I look forward to your elaboration, actually. In the meantime, I have to open the right tab on my computer and let everybody know that this episode of FLOSS Weekly is brought to you by Collide. That's Collide with a K. You know the old saying, when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail? Well, the traditional approach to device security is that hammer, a blunt instrument that can't solve nuanced problems. Even after installing clunky agents that users hate, IT teams still have to deal with mountains of support tickets over the same old issues. And they have no way to address things like unencrypted SSH keys, OS updates, or pretty much anything going on with a Linux device. Collide is an endpoint security solution that's more like a Swiss Army knife. It gives IT teams a single dashboard for all devices, Mac, Windows, and even Linux. You can query your entire fleet to check for common compliance issues or write your own custom checks. Plus, instead of installing intrusive software that creates more work for IT, Collide's lightweight agent shows end users how to fix issues themselves. You can achieve endpoint compliance by adding a new tool to your toolbox. Visit collide.com/floss to find out how. That's KOLIDE.com/floss. So, Alex, you were saying you wanted to continue with what you were saying at that point. You want to pick that up?
Yeah, sure. So I state with the unique proposition from Liberica and Bellsoft distribution. So we provide the most complete Java experience. That's how I would say that. So we provide legacy versions of Java, we provide LTS versions of Java, and we provide the future of Java is the native image based on GraalVM projects. And everything we do open source way.
I'm curious. Let's jump back in. I'm curious about the Liberica native image kit. Is this running Java on bare metal without a Linux distro underneath it?
Not really. It still requires the Linux distro. It can run on the distroless Linux. So the native image is capable to embed master library inside the image.
So it's essentially
it still requires.
It's essentially an embedded Linux distro, something like, the one I'm familiar with that comes to mind is it's going to be something like OpenWRT, the kind of Linux that you would put on a router, and then you guys have put Liberica JDK inside of that.
No. I need to elaborate. No. Yeah, this is different story. This Liberica native image kit is the set of tools which allows to compile Java into a native executable. So then you run Java. You need the whole GRE, Java runtime environment, which includes the core libraries and virtual machine. And with GraalVM, you don't need any of that. You compile your Java code into the native executable and run that. And it provides lots of benefits for the cloud use. It's almost immediate startup, very low latency. So it can be used in Lambda like any other native application. Much lower memory consumption also. In many cases, a bit better performance. However, it has some trade-offs, of course. You need to pay for that.
Well, that's fair. People have to pay for something, right? You guys have to make a little bit of money.
No. It's not about money. You have to pay to that your engineering time. You need to refactor your Java code and adopt that to be able to compile into the native. because it doesn't support a number of features which are pretty standard for Java runtime reflection, for example, or runtime code generation. Everything must be done during compile time, and then the image actually it's not changeable.
Yeah, that makes sense. So first off, we have a comment from our Discord chat room. David Ruggles says, JetBrains, I'm a Python developer, not Java, but I love JetBrains. So you guys get a lot of, so I made this joke that, in fact, I put it a little more strongly in the Discord before the show. Java is a love it or hate it kind of language. Some people just absolutely fall in love with it, and some of us just really don't want to have anything to do with it. But I think there's maybe some love for you guys, even among those of us that really don't like Java, because your stuff pops up in a lot of different places. So for that, thank you.
That is right.
Yeah. And then so let's talk a little bit about how is this pronounced? Alpaquita Linux.
Alpaquita.
Is that right? I was close.
This is right. This is right.
Yeah. So what's the story there? What does that let someone do?
It's very. Let's start with the naming. Okay. Yeah, I didn't talk a bit about our contributions to OpenJDK and to GraalVM. We there was a project within OpenJDK for many years, like Oracle engineer Michael Whitsett started that. The project called Pertola, and its aim was to bring support of Alpine Linux into the OpenJDK, because Alpine use the Muscle libc as standard C library, not glibc as other distributions, and Muscle wasn't supported by the OpenJDK. Mm-hmm. And we created Liberica JDK Muscle base a while ago, and used that. And during that time, we prepared the Pertola project to be the part of the OpenJDK upstream. And at JDK 16, we integrated Pertola project into the upstream of OpenJDK. And now Alpine is the first-class citizen within OpenJDK. So it's supported platform. Then when we did the same for GraalVM, so made Alpine as the part of GraalVM. And during that play, because we've found Alpine a perfect distribution for the containers, because we created containers for Liberica Lite distribution and delivered that to our customers who run their Spring Boot applications in cloud and containerized environment. And during that time, we identified some areas which need to be improved on Linux side, not on Java side. We were able to do everything with our distribution because it was our distributions. And finally, we understood that the Linux distributions with optimizations targets for the Java workloads, that's reasonable. And that's what we actually did. So why is Alpaquita? The naming was it's always very hard.
Yes.
and
project names are like email addresses. All the good ones are taken.
Absolutely, and it was our case actually. So we decided to name our Linux distribution Alpaquita. No, Alpaquita. Initially, it was alpaca. Alpaca are animals who lives in South America mountains, and they are very cute. And we saw that, alpaca lives in mountains. Alpine is the mountains. Nice connotations. So let's do that, and it's funny. It looks funny. And we decided to do that, created everything, already named our packages. And then we started to pass through legal due diligence. And legal guys said to us that this trademark already taken, and they strongly suggested us not to move forward with alpaca. So we played around and found Alpaquita in Spanish. That's called like kind of a alpaca kit. And we decided, why not? It's even more cuter than Alpaca. And now we have Alpaquita Linux and Alpaquita Cloud Native Platform. So Alpaquita Linux is Alpine based, but with some additional optimizations what we put inside. First of all, we did some balance. We put some balanced kernel option configurations. We enabled NUMA, non-uniform memory access with NUMA warrant scheduler. We enabled task group support, and we enabled budget fair queuing with some other additional features. That's about the kernel, and Alpaquita based on the LTS kernel 5.10. On the libc side, we did the biggest part of our work, actually, and we decided that our distribution will create 3 standard C libraries. We'll provide Alpaquita with standard muscle library, and we also add our muscle perf. So muscle, which performs good with Java.
Sure.
And we put like optimization options. We add -02 and -03 for different subsystems of muscle perf. On the other side, Alpine only use -OS, which allows optimizations for size. And Bellsoft muscle supports indirect functions, which allows to use different implementations of functions for the specific platform, for the specific processor.
Yep.
And muscle perf also supports various CPU specific awesome functions. In addition to benefit from new CPU instructions, operating system must be able to discover them. And muscle perf internally implements CPU feature discovery also. And the third part is glibc. Glibc is the part of Alpaquita distribution also, because many users, as we see, we depend on glibc, and we cannot just quickly migrate to muscle, because on the native side we have dependencies to glibc. However, they use Java and they run Java applications. So we provide the flexibility to our users with different libc implementations. And in addition to extend that flexibility even wider, we provided free memory allocators there, like rpmalloc, mimalloc, and gmalloc for different workloads. They all have trade-offs, of course, and there is no a silver bullet for any use cases. But if that's possible to play with different one and find the most optimal one for the specific workload, that's always good, and we found that useful for us. And Alpaquita also has some security hardening.
Sure.
So we implemented at the kernel lockdown to prevent direct and indirect access to the running kernel image. We we support the secure boot, and we support kernel module sign-in with SHA 512. We are about to provide security advisory to our users and customers, and of course, 24/7 support is always valuable.
Yes. So I'm curious. It sounds like a lot of the things that are going on in Alpaquita, not to oversimplify it, but a lot of it is tuning for Java specific workloads. And I'm curious, does anyone do a Docker image that uses Alpaquita as kind of the distro running inside Docker? It almost sounds like you could, I don't know, maybe have a Red Hat server where Red Hat runs in the bare metal, and then use Docker and an Alpaquita image to run your individual Java workloads. Does that make sense at all? Is that something that people are doing?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense because just using Alpaquita instead of the standard OpenJDK container with Debian or Red Hat can bring a lot of memory savings. So with Alpaquita with Liberica Lite, we were able to see the amazing results actually for JDK 11, which is the most popular JDK distribution now. We see memory saving up to 40% on Spring Boot applications, on Spring applications, and Spring is the most popular framework for among Java developers. So 40% memory savings is a lot. And Alpaquita has also a better startup time than the other Linux distributions. We actually have a good article about performance measurements of Alpaquita and comparison that to the other containers with the OpenJDK at our blog. And yes, this like everything we did finally brought us a very good boost and memory consumption. And what does that mean? Then you capable to save memory. Then you for memory bound services. That means that for like in Kubernetes, if you have many services, you can use 2 times smaller pods, and using 2 times smaller pods on the scale can bring to savings lots of nodes in Kubernetes, and nodes equal to money, to costs. That's it. That's what we are promoting now, and Alpaquita stream containers with Liberica Lite are free and freely available from Bellsoft Docker Hub. Anybody could get that and use it wherever we want in production or anyway, and get immediate benefits from savings. We are not claiming that could bring a lot of benefits for other technologies. We only say that we are assured that for Java applications, specifically for Spring Boot applications, that will bring you value. However, I would be really happy to hear any feedback from other technologies. Like Alpaquita is available as standalone base image, and who knows, maybe for Python it works even better.
Well, I want to get to some more questions about those kind of things, plus deployment, how you make money, a bunch of stuff like that. But first, I have to let everybody know it's time for the TWiT audience survey. The annual survey helps us understand our audience so we can make your listening experience even better. It only takes a few minutes to complete. Please do it. Go to last sentence. Go to twit.tv/survey23 to take it. Don't wait. The last day to take the survey is January 31st. And thank you for doing that. So Alex, it seems to me that when you look at the world of clouds, there are a zillion different kinds doing lots of different kinds of workload. You're watching them when you look at your TV. They're pretty much all the websites you're going to now are in some kind of cloud. Everybody's email is in a cloud. What do you see in deployment that either Alpaquita Linux and your upstream forms of enablement make possible versus what's going on in cloud in general? Because you must have a real perspective on that.
I could elaborate on the Java side, what's going on there.
Yeah, but that's fine.
What I see is that Java is not perfect technology for the cloud, and there are many competitors for Java which claims that they are much smaller, they could run faster, start faster, save memory. However, I would consider Java as a Swiss knife. Java has everything inside. You need security already inside Java. You need the um, synchronous input-output, it's inside. And you just select what you need. Other technologies, yes, they might like start instantly and they are small. However, then you go to the same functionality that what Java provides, you will came to very similar results and consumptions. And I see that what we can do with Java is to make it specifically for the task. So not to make it as Swiss knife for everything, but to decouple it out of some part of that. And this technology already inside Java, like Java users, Java developers already can make on the part of the runtime for their specific applications. But we can go further also. And GraalVM, the native compilation, is, I think, the future of Java. So then Java code compiled to the native executable with all the parts of JDK which requires for these particular applications. And we see that there are already a number of frameworks in this area, and Spring is the most popular. Recently, VMware announced Spring 6, Spring Framework 6, which has Spring Native inside, and this capable to be compiled into the native image and run as a native executable. And I think this is for Java side is the near future, I would say, and the technology will gain popularity in 1-2 years. Of course, this is for the new applications. Nobody would be happy to rewrite some or even start refactoring. And I think that still JDK 6 will live for, I don't know, for 10 more years, definitely, because now the within OpenJDK, we committed to support JDK 8 until 2030. And we see that many customers are not going to move out of that, and they will continue using that. So in terms of the cloud side, the native compilation of Java code definitely be the next mainstream from my point of view.
It's interesting to me that and I was trying to look back at when it started, when Java started. It may have been, was it back when they were doing Spark and Sun was doing Spark? I think so. I was working with Sun at that time as an outside contractor, but when Java came along, the whole idea was that it would be machine independent. And we're way above the machine at this point. So it's like looking at the future and where Java is going now and actually contrasting it from what, James Gosling wanted it to be back on day one. It's sort of an interesting exercise, I think. So where do you see it going? And yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that is it. So Java is the universal technology, which by packaging inside the container, it can be then executed in any cloud, right? You have packaged your application inside the set of containers and then deploy to the cloud-based Kubernetes, and it runs there smoothly. And you don't think about what's inside, whether that's which kind of Linux there, why should you care? It will just run. That's not about native executable. Now you need to know exactly what architecture you will be running your applications.
So tell me about your own business model. You've like lots of companies. You have free and open stuff that you provide people. But what is your business? What is Bellsoft? How does it make a living? How do you make a living with that?
Sure. Yeah, developers need to eat too. So we of course we're geeks, and we're really happy about what we do. But yeah, business is business. We provide technical support for the OpenJDK. This is our main line for it's kind of our classical business. And our differentiator here is that we are among leading contributors, and we're an independent company. And everything we do for our customers became the part of the OpenJDK project. So we don't have some internal hidden repository where we put all patches for our customers, and then we bind them to lock them to Bellsoft Liberica. No, we said, you're our customer, you have a bug, you have an issue, we'll fix it for you, and it will become the part of any other OpenJDK distribution. So you are free to go to our competitors if you want. If you don't value our white glove treatment, you can go to anybody else. And we have very happy customers who had received support from other organizations, and they said Bellsoft is amazing. We are really happy to be such guys. And yeah, we were able to bring such big ISVs which can do it themselves, but they trust us and they relies on us and relies on Liberica JDK on that. And so that's about Liberica JDK. Liberica JDK is free forever, and we sell technical support. We monetize and by selling technical support for that. For Alpaquita, we provide Alpaquita Stream containers. This is the Alpaquita Stream, which has a 6-month support lifecycle with Liberica Lite inside. And in addition, we have a commercial product called Alpaquita Cloud Native Platform. This cloud native platform includes Alpaquita Enterprise Linux with LTS support, 4 years support lifecycle. Has Liberica Lite inside with some additional optimizations features and additional integrations with APMs. And as the part of the offering, it also includes the support for Liberica Native Image Kit with extended set of monitoring events. So we're selling LTS versions of our freely available products, but we're still open source, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm curious, do you see a future for Bellsoft that is bigger than Java? Do you have other aspirations or things coming down the pike that are maybe Linux and open source software related?
We'll see, of course. However, our primary focus, at least for now, is to keep Java the #1 choice for the modern enterprises, because modern enterprises started to look around for other technologies and consider Java as not the ideal to them. So we are here to eliminate that doubt and assure them that choosing Java is the right way for coming 10 years. And that's what we truly believe in.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm just about to hand it back over to Doc. I think it's getting close to time to wrap, but there's a question I like to ask people, and it seems like this could be a good one here too. What is the weirdest or most impressive or just most surprising thing that you've seen someone do with your platform? So whether that be Alpaquita or one of the other bits that you guys provide, what's the strangest, the most surprising thing that somebody has done with it?
what surprised me the last several years is the using the platform as the using our product Liberica for embedded solutions with JavaFX. I think that's the most impressive part. Many people consider JavaFX as the dead end. However, as I see, there are lots of projects which still use JavaFX for UI, for graphical user interface. And I identified some projects which started recently, and they use that technology for their solution.
All right. And then so you mentioned this idea of trying to keep Java relevant for the next 10 years. What do you see as your primary competitor? What are people moving to? I mean, I doubt big enterprises see PHP code as the next big thing, right? That's kind of on its way out too. Are people looking at moving to Python, maybe via Flask, or what is the big competitor to Java?
I see several. According to TWiT index, this year Java moved to a 4th position from the 3rd one, and the 1st position is taken by Python, definitely. So Python considered is the most popular programming language in the world. But as I see, the projects moves to Go, and projects moves to Rust. Its adoption is not really wide, and this is not ubiquitous languages. Java is still the leader there for enterprise software development. But who knows what will happen next?
So we are down into the short rows, as they say in agriculture here. So we always close with a question, which is there anything we haven't asked that you wish we had asked that you could answer in a fairly short time?
This is always a tough question because
you've done a really great job of covering a lot of territory, I have to tell you.
You have to do some set calculations. What all have I talked about? What all did I want to talk about? It's a challenging one to do on the spot.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, maybe the usual question, there are number of OpenJDK distributions, how to select the perfect one. And here my answer would be, it depends on your requirements, as always. The selection of anything should be based on the requirements, and you need to compare your requirements to the options provided by the project, and the same I would recommend to the OpenJDK distributions. If you don't need anything out of the Java distribution, you can use anything. If you need some specific parts like legacy support or very small containers, people know what to consider.
So, okay. So, last 2 questions. Let's see. We see. There's a remark in the IRC I'm supposed to look at here. Java is the new COBOL. He said that's not kind. But yeah.
Java is a new COBOL for 15 years already.
Well, I have friends who were COBOL programmers. They're still employed, so this stuff doesn't go away. That's unkind, but why not? When you've got a winner.
I wouldn't say so. Yeah, Java is evolving. It's evolving. It's not embedding some hype features. Java is always waiting. Then any developer practices, any developers features will be adopted by developer community within other projects, and then Java absorbed that technology which already had traction, which already had proven track records, because Java creators knows that they are creating the technology for decades, not for a couple of years of hype.
So with final two questions, short ones that would be interested in your answer. What is your favorite scripting language and text editor? We ask everybody this.
The text editor is Atom, and the scripting language is JavaScript.
That would make a kind of sense. Well, Alex, it has been great having you on here. You've been a fantastic guest, and we hope to have you back one of these days.
Thanks a lot, Doc. Thanks a lot, Jonathan. It's my pleasure being here, and thanks a lot for the invitation one more time.
As well here. Thanks. So, Jonathan, you had some great questions. Thank you for carrying the weight on that.
It was fun. I don't know. I sort of secretly have thought for a while that Java is the new COBOL. And then as some people pointed out, well, maybe that is accurate because COBOL is not as dead as people think it is too. I don't know. There is definitely a lot of places where Java is still getting used. And so it is great that there are people that still care about it and are still carrying the torch. I also found it really interesting that he made two statements. The first one being just kind of offhandedly, yeah, we're also interested whether Alpaquita does well with Python. And then, yeah, we know Python is the most popular language in the world and a lot of enterprises are moving to it. It's like, I wonder if they're thinking about that. But it's cool. It's also very, very neat to see sort of the in-depth tuning that they're doing with particularly with Alpaquita and all of the different things inside that Linux distribution that they're touching to try to make it as performant as possible on a bunch of different platforms. And so some of the things he was talking about is like you have so what they would do is they would run a test case and they would see, okay, which function is this test case spending the most time in? And then let's go tune that function for a processor that has AVX 512. And then if you go and run it on like a Xeon processor that has AVX 512 support, it'll use those particular commands, that processor extension. And I find that really interesting because some things in Linux do that and other things don't. And it's just fascinating where you can squeeze every bit of performance out of whatever machine you're running on. So I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I was kind of around for the beginning of Java and the ambitions behind Java that Sun had at the time. And if you could have stood in the halls then and said, where will we be, 30 years from now? Where there are the few proprietary Unixes are all but gone. It was interesting to hear that AIX is still out there, or that IBM Unix or HP Unix is still out there in some places. Mm-hmm. But that these things are very, very kind of permanent. I mean, it's interesting. This week it's almost irrelevant, but we had this big power outage, and all the radio stations went off. And the one people missed the most, I think, was the classical station. So that's classical music is the COBOL of music, I suppose. And people still like it. Anyway, so what have you got to plug, and so we can get out in
Sure.
time?
So I've got two things that I pretty much always plug, and the first is over at hackaday.com. You can catch my work there, particularly every Friday morning. We have the security column goes live, and sometimes we talk about Java-related security things. Most of the time over on Java land, it's deserialization bugs, which seems to be kind of the the Achilles heel for Java that they always keep having to fix. And then the other thing, of course, to plug is the Untitled Linux Show, which is a Club TWiT exclusive show. And I mentioned this last week and then got privately told that I mentioned it too early. Well, I can officially mention it this week. We have a video feed now for the Untitled Linux Show, starting with episode 84. So you have to go and subscribe to that. It is yet another feed inside your Club TWiT membership page. But you can catch our beautiful and wonderful faces. We'll go with that. And get to see some video. And we have hopes of maybe doing some more things with that, live demos, and actually being able to show you the things that we're working on. So that will be fun. Catch those two things. Keep up with me there.
Yeah, so for people listening and not watching, Jonathan has a bad face for radio. So
Thank you.
One of those. I have a good face for radio. Anyway, I want to let everybody know that next week's guest is Christine Hall. Christine Hall is a real authority on all matters floss, journalist and hacker from way back, and a lot of fun to talk to. That is coming up next week, and we will see you then. I'm Doc Searls, and see you next week.
Listeners of this program get an ad-free version if they're members of Club TWiT. $7 a month gives you ad-free versions of all of our shows, plus membership in the Club TWiT Discord, a great clubhouse for TWiT listeners. And finally, the TWiT Plus feed with shows like Stacy's Book Club, The Untitled Linux Show, The Giz Fizz, and more. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit, and thanks for your support.